Welcome to section 9.4, linear inequalities and one variable. So just like how I mentioned about one variable in the previous section, just basically means that one type of variable that you have to solve for in any given problem. So our first example, we have 3x minus 7 greater than or equal to 5x plus 9. Now in the previous videos I would mention that I would try to get the variables on the left side. You can still solve with the variable on the right side. Just make sure you be able to know how to read your answer, because here we're going to be graphing the linear inequality not on the xy plane but on a number line. So like I said, I want to get my x on the left side, so I have 5x on the right side. I want to cancel that out, so I want to subtract by 5x. And since I'm getting all my variables on the left side, that means on the right side my numbers have to be there. So if I look on the left side, I see that I have my number minus 7 or negative 7. So I'm going to cancel that out. I'm going to add 7 on the left and then add 7 on the right. So basically I'm doing two steps at once. So 3x minus 5x, that would be negative 2x, greater than or equal 9 plus 7, that is 16. After that, to get x by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. Now remember, when you're working with inequalities, if you're dividing or multiplying both sides by a negative number, make sure to flip the inequality sign into its opposite direction. So 2x divided by negative 2 is just x. 16 divided by negative 2 is negative 8. Alright, so that is basically my final answer. This is an answer in inequality form. So let me write that out. Inequality form or notation. Let me write that. Inequality notation. Now sometimes they might ask you to solve and write your answer in interval notation. So here it says x is less than or equal to negative 8. So x can be any number that is less than negative 8. So negative 9, negative 10, negative 11, and so on. And it keeps going towards negative infinity. So for interval notation, it would be negative infinity, comma, negative 8. Since it's less than or equal to, I'm going to put a bracket on the negative 8, but a parenthesis on the negative infinity. So this answer right here is in interval notation. So let me write that out right here. Interval notation. And let me box that up. Alright, now in the previous section where we worked with inequalities, in my videos I had you graph in a different way, and let me write that out. So we're going to be graphing on a number line. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as you can identify your numbers. So here is negative 8. Now in the previous section I had y'all graph where you would put a circle and it's closed because it had that line underneath the inequality sign. Since it says x is less than or equal to negative 8, that means that numbers that are less than negative 8, meaning going towards the left side. So that's what I had y'all graph in the previous section. Now I want you to be familiar with the other section in case they might have this form on the test. Alright, so instead of graphing this way, which is fine if you do it on my test, but I want you to be familiar with the different form you might see on another test. So they would put a bracket on the -8, just like this, and then they would darken the line on the number line, and then you see how you have a parenthesis on the negative infinity? So I'm going to put parenthesis at the end of the line. Now you see here, it means that any numbers that is between -8 and negative infinity, because as if you put parentheses at the end of the line, that means it goes on forever. Well, here I didn't put any number, so that means it goes on forever. So any numbers between -8 and negative infinity is the answer for this problem. So it doesn't matter which way you would graph if it was on my test. I just want you to be familiar with the two different forms that you may see on a future test. So here, my top answer is in inequality notation, and the second one, this is interval notation. So make sure to be familiar with two forms. If the question has asked you to find the answer in interval notation, you would write it in this format. And then if it's in interval notation, best bet is to use this form for the graph. But if it was on my test and if I didn't specify, any answer is acceptable. Any graph is also acceptable.